That's what we've been wanting to see for a while, right? That second half of this game is exactly what we've wanted to see from this team for a very, very long time. Well, not a very long time. It's only been like 3-4 weeks. But we've been wanting to see that from this team since Watson came back, was one of those 3 touchdown games, right? And in the first half of this game, it seemed like that was as far away as possible from happening as anything, because it just didn't seem like it was on the cards. They had 20 passing yards. They weren't running the ball well. They weren't getting open. Deshaun was just bad, like flat bad in the first half. I thought his feet looked sluggish. I thought he looked sluggish. He looked like he was late on things. He just didn't look crisp, like he was on his game. And then whatever happens at halftime happens. And then they just play a much better game. I think Stefanski did a good job at the beginning of the second half, just allowing Deshaun to get back to his rhythm, right? A couple easy throws to Harrison Bryant here. And then Coop takes a relative. Oh my God, but Coop, I'm sorry, I'm watching the game while also trying to record this, and Justin Jefferson just slapped the ref with the helmet. So that's probably going to be big news. But it's just one of those things where Coop got that touchdown and it kind of relaxed everybody. And then that next drive, Watson really played well. On the 3rd and 2, he got a real important QB keeper, got the 2 extra yards, and then he made a couple of plays. And you could see him feel really good about the throws that he was making. And he was like kind of celebrating before he even scored the touchdown. He was celebrating with, you could see Jacoby Brissett on the sideline if you watch the broadcast angle of it again. And then you could see him finally get the touchdown, and then that's when everything was like, okay, now we're rolling downhill. The next time out, he gets another easy touchdown to Amari Cooper, another big chunk play, and now we're seeing the explosives. Now we're seeing the benefit of having Watson in there, right? The one thing you could say in the first half that Watson was able to do was he was definitely able to escape the pocket and evade sacks, because he had to do that like at least 6 times. In the first half of this game. One of them famously, he threw it to Jack Conklin because I guess he just saw somebody open, kind of positioned like a receiver, and he just flicked it there. Didn't really register that it was Jack Conklin. But you know, he was doing a lot to get out of these sacks, and to make them not sacks or TFLs or like 1 yard losses instead of 6-7 yard losses. He was doing a lot to avoid that. So you're seeing that special element of it. And then it all kind of came together in the second half to where he's able to make plays, he's able to run, he's able to throw. This is more or less the Deshaun that I thought. Like, I thought that going into this game, he was due for a big 3 touchdown kind of game, a multiple touchdown game, given what he looked like against the New Orleans Saints, which was he looked great in that game to me. Just didn't have the completion luck there. And I thought he looked good against the Ravens too. And now we're seeing, you know, it kind of come together in decent weather where he's able to get that 3 touchdown game that he could have got last week, but he didn't. And I think he could have got even more in this game. He left some things on the table. Obviously, Carson Wentz throwing 3 interceptions helps you massively. The defense did step up in specific spots. Grant Delpit is somebody who I don't think gets sufficient praise. And look, he's going to get some of that praise because he had the 2 interceptions. He had the interception the week before. I think he has like 3 interceptions in 2 weeks. He's going to get praise because of that. But don't let that be the main thing that you think about with Grant Delpit. Because yes, the interceptions are nice and they're a consequence of him being very good. But what he has been excellent in, and I mean excellent in, is run coverage. I think he's legitimately this team's best run defender. Like, pound for pound, he is the best run defender on this team. Because just go throughout the games, rewatch some old games. Whenever there's a play made on a running back, there's like a 70% chance it's Grant Delpit that's making the play. He's been that good. So yeah, he's doing the stuff in coverage and all of that, and that's been great for him. But when he's in the box and he is playing to run, his instincts are great. And I think that's the thing. They changed how they played him. They started playing him more like they wanted to play John Johnson. And now he's being what everybody hoped John Johnson could be, which means John Johnson probably on his way out. But he has been everything that you wanted him to be. And it's been like that since the Miami game. You know what I mean? Like, he was the only guy making plays in that Miami game in the run defense. Like, he has been tremendous for this defense. He has been a tremendous run defender, a tremendous defender, period. He's one of the better players on this defense. And I hope that in a new system, which we're probably still getting, because Joe Woods can do nothing to save his job really at this point. But in a new system, I hope that translates and they continue to put him at more of that box safety position, because it's funny, right? When Grant came out, a lot of people felt like he was allergic to the box. Like, you cannot put him in the box because he was allergic to tackling and he wasn't good in that situation. It turns out in the NFL, he is a much better box safety than he is a free safety. And he's not a bad free safety. He's a pretty mediocre to average free safety, but he is a great strong safety. A great one. And if he continues to play this way, he'll be a Pro Bowler sooner than later, because this is what you want from him. Made some great plays today. I think honestly, like, more impressive than the 2 interceptions was his work in the run game today. Made a couple of plays. He had the one tackle on Brian Robinson that I think he had 2 tackles on Brian Robinson. I felt like saved touchdowns and resulted in 3 points. Grant Delpit played tremendous. I don't know if his PFF grade is going to reflect it. I don't care if his PFF grade reflects it. I'm going to look at the tape. I'm pretty sure I know what I saw from a first glance viewing of it, and I'm pretty sure the tape is going to reflect that. That man has been playing excellent football for a very long time now, and it's time to start thinking about Grant Delpit as one of the pillars of this defense. And again, you have a good young you have a talented young defense that, for whatever reason, I think coordination is a big part of it, has not lived up to their potential. But if we're talking about shopping this defense to a new defensive coordinator in the offseason, you're going to have your pick of the litter, because you have Grant Delpit, you have Denzel Ward, you have Greg Newsome, you have Martin Emerson, you have Myles Garrett. Potentially, you can get Clowney back. You have some cap space to add a guy like a DeForest Buckner. You have JOK. This is a defensive coordinator's dream, right? Everybody wants to have the ingredients to make their stew. Well, you have the ingredients to make one hell of a stew in Cleveland. You just got to be the right cook for the job, and hopefully they find the right cook for the job. But that is what they're waiting on. That is what everything is for that defense, and hopefully all of those things come to fruition, because you can see the potential of it when you see guys like Grant Delpit ball out. You know what I mean? Like, you could just see it. It is very obvious and very there. On top of that, when it comes to this team, I think one of the interesting things offensively is, look, even though Deshaun had that 3 touchdown game, I think there are still some things that are going to be interesting and need to be changed going forward. Running back personnel, we're starting to see less and less Kareem Hunts, a little bit of Jerome Ford. I wouldn't be surprised if that position got lighter going forward, right? You're going to want to get more agile, more route running guys to be behind Nick Chubb. And I mentioned this before, it's going to be more thunder and lightning than it is thunder and thunder right now, right? Because before then, you were trying to just beat teams to death. Now, you're going to want to switch it up a little bit. I still think you need a bigger-bodied wide receiver. DJ Shark would be probably my favorite choice here, but somebody who has some size, some explosiveness to help you in the red zone. Because still, I don't think any of those touchdowns that Deshaun threw today, were they in the red zone? Maybe the last one. Maybe the last one to Donovan Peoples-Jones. I mean, not Donovan Peoples-Jones, yeah, it was DPJ, right? Yeah, maybe the last one to DPJ was in the red zone, but I think the 2 to Coop were definitely not in the red zone. So you want to be able to get production when you're in the red zone. I think still we only got 1 out of 3 trips or 2 out of 3 trips, which is good, but one of them was a field goal. You want to be 3 out of 3 in that area in the red zone. You want to be a little bit more efficient in the red zone. I think getting some more size at wide receiver and some more explosiveness at wide receiver will help you there. Amari Cooper's having a career year, so you're going to want to keep him. Donovan Peoples-Jones on the same track, and then David Njoku was on that track before he got injured. So, when you lose a game that you feel like you can win, you're so miserable about it that it feels like the fix is so far away, but in reality, the fix is never as far as you think it is. And that's the case with this Cleveland Browns team. Last week at this time, we were thinking that the fix was so far away because we were just frustrated that this team lost a game that they felt like they should win. But that doesn't necessarily dictate what the future is. Like Myles Garrett said it earlier this week, this team is not broken. They just need to tighten the screws a little bit, right? Get some pieces here and there, get a guy here and there, make some adjustments here and there, and then you'll be fine. We don't have to overthink this. The Browns, even if they ran it back, as much as I would hate it with Joe Woods and all that stuff, they would probably still win 10 games next year with Deshaun. Like, that's probably in my early worst case scenario for this team next year is like 10 games. What I want to ensure is that we get rid of some of these mistakes that we see pop up over the course of this year to fine tune this team. So we're not talking about, hey, let's win a playoff game next year. We're talking about, hey, we have a chance to win it all next year. That's what I want. It's not going to be hard to get a team with Deshaun Watson to get to the playoffs. Okay, it's not hard. Okay, especially when you're at the point of the rebuild that the Browns are, right? Deshaun took the Texans to the playoffs once, like a couple of times, right? Like, it's not hard when you have a guy the caliber of him to get to the playoffs. What is hard is to get to the Super Bowl. And they need to do everything in their power to make sure that some of these things that, hey, ain't going to stop you from going to the playoffs, but would stop you if you got to the playoffs to getting to the Super Bowl, need to be addressed, like the defense and the inconsistency on that side of the ball. Today, the defense and offense played complementary football for the first time since the Cincinnati game. Nick Chubb looked like Nick Chubb. And, he hasn't been bad, but he's looked like Nick Chubb for the first time since that Cincinnati game where he's like, oh, yeah. One of the greatest running backs in this generation. That was that man today. Coop, I already talked about him being phenomenal. Deshaun Watson, phenomenal second half after a very bad first half. Well, not very bad. Very bad is what Carson Wentz did. It was just a off first half because he didn't turn the ball over or anything like that. He just didn't get a lot of points. And the Browns win this game. This is what you want to do. This is what you want it to look like. And if Deshaun has more games where he has 3 touchdowns, only on 18 passing attempts, well, that's what you want it to look like because that looks like victory to me. But that's my thoughts on this game. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Everybody have a great day. Have an even better night.